Hey everyone, welcome back. My name is Zane. Today we're having a look at the Polestar 02 EV concept. This is a roadster concept, and we're also having a look at the Polestar Precept concept. Now the Polestar Precept concept is being developed into a real production vehicle within the UK. It's currently under production within the UK. So that's actually quite exciting. But what I really want to compare is the design of these vehicles. How do they connect in terms of design language? So let's start with the front of these vehicles. First of all, the light bars. You can see that they're clearly extremely similar. There's a light bar underneath, like on the bumper, on the front bumper of the car. There's a light bar going straight across and then downwards on both sides. And it's the same thing above, but interpreted like a mirror effect. The light bars are going straight aside and then they go upwards. It's actually extremely unique to see cars like this because I haven't seen any cars like this. The design language is so unique within itself. Next up is the light bars, I'd say. Once again, the light bars, they do follow a really similar architecture. For one, they follow the lights, they follow the headlamps. But within that frame, it actually has a slight protruding element to it on both vehicles. Now, the second similarities that I saw was obviously the mirrors. That would be your side mirrors. They're both similar, almost identical. And what they are is basically cameras. They're supposed to be cameras. But not every car can be on the road with cameras within Europe. Due to regulations, there are some cars with cameras, and they don't have windscreens. Instead, they have cameras. So this is possible. But based on recent images that we've seen of the Polestar 5, the Polestar 5 does have wind mirrors. Next up, we can actually have a look at the side of the vehicles. So for one is the side skirts. You can obviously see that the side skirts, the door panels, they're very similar. And this is due to capturing an aerodynamic effect. But even when you look at the rear of the car, you can see that it's typically higher. It's typically a bit bulkier, almost as if it's got an engine back there. But obviously it doesn't. It just got motor. Even from the side of the vehicle, you can obviously see that the rear backlights are quite similar because of how they're designed. They're one huge light strip along the back of the vehicle, and on each side, they go downwards. And that's very unique for Polestar cars, and I hope no one steals their design. But you can obviously see that the back of the car has got a bit more body to it, a bit more bulkiness. But the side skirts and the door panels, they're obviously quite similar. Now, another part of the cars that I want to have a look at is the back of the car, the rear of the car. Now, on the Polestar 02, the back of the car, actually the boot or the trunk of the car, there is a long line, a line strip coming downwards. And this is where the drone of the car will be deployed. We've seen it in Polestar videos, and it's actually quite phenomenal. What I have noticed recently, but I didn't notice this at first, is that this follows the exact same design on the Polestar Precept like 3 years ago. Granted, on the Polestar Precept car, that is now the Polestar 5, the line coming down the back of the car, the trunk or the boot, is actually a lot more skinnier. But just before you get to the top of the car, you'll see that there's an element, an hidden compartment on both cars. Once again, this is Polestar's way of staying within its design family. It's staying true to its nature. It's branching out. It's becoming different from Volvo's, and we haven't even noticed. Now, I'm making this video because I want to make the record clear that it is becoming very different from Volvo, and that is very good. Looking at the cars from the side, almost from the front, but from the side, once again, even the back shape of the car, just before the rear wheels, on top of the rear wheels actually, you can obviously see that for aerodynamic efficiency, it's relatively flat. Just before you get to the rear view glass, it's relatively flat, and this creates a great slipstream effect in the car. But once again, you can obviously see it takes a wider body frame up the back on both vehicles. But at the front, it obviously starts quite simplistic and a bit smaller, and that's quite common for most cars anyway. But on the Polestar, it takes this to a new direction, a direction that I seem to like. Now, once again, you have a look at both vehicles. They're almost as if these vehicles are almost identical, but the difference is that the Polestar Precept, the Polestar 5, is a family vehicle almost. It's a sedan. It's a luxurious sedan that is also incredibly fast, while what they've done is just turn this vehicle into a sports car and created the Polestar 02. That's basically what they did. But I'm happy with that. I'm more than happy with that. I actually love that their cars look so similar in design. I'm not complaining, so don't get me wrong. I'm happy that they're sticking with their family element of design. I'm happy that the Polestar cars are finally getting their own design language. They're branching out. Now, if we look at the interior of this car, this is where it gets extremely interesting. Obviously, most vehicles, Mercedes, BMWs, typically the interior of their car will look very, very similar, sometimes almost identical. And once again, that's not a bad thing. And on the Polestar, it's quite similar, with the air vents on the passenger front side of the vehicle, quite simplistic, quite slanted, quite similar. Steering wheels are almost identical. The inside of the steering wheels are almost identical. The major difference is the top of the steering wheel for the Polestar 02. That's quite different. But in terms of the upholster and armrests, it's almost identical. Once again, it's quite similar. And in terms of the heads-up dash, it's almost the same once again. And in terms of the infotainment system, the computer within the car, the central infotainment system, almost the same once again. And it's in portrait, not landscape. But what I don't want people to get is a wrong impression of what I'm saying. I'm not criticizing them on this. I'm applauding them. I'm giving them credit that this is a good thing, that they're sticking to what they know, sticking to what we love and what we want from the Polestar vehicles. We want the Polestar vehicles to look like this because they look beautiful and awesome. And for one, I really love the fact that Polestar continues to go with the yellow signature seatbelts and the yellow brake calipers. That's really fantastic. I really like that, a gold feeling to the car. So those are some of the similarities that I found within this vehicle. The light bars, for one, the rear of the car, the side of the car, the side panels, the doors, and obviously the side skirts, and the front of the car as well. Yes, the front of the car, very, very similar. The major difference on the sports car is that there's limited air vents. In fact, I don't think there's any, and that's just to cut away drag. That's just to cut away drag and have it to be as fast as possible. Because obviously we want to beat that Polestar. Because obviously we want to compete with the Tesla Roadster, the new Roadster, and we want to beat the Roadster. So we need this car to be as efficient as possible. And that's exactly what Polestar is going for. And I can honestly say, I do love it. I love what they're doing with their car, and I hope they continue. These two cars, what we're seeing is a very similar design language. From the car camera mirrors, everything is quite similar, which is good to see. Possibly one of my favorite parts is the rear of the car. The light bars, obviously, almost identical. But even the lower half of the car, you can see usually where the exhaust system of a typical combustion engine car would be, what we have is two metal frames going in either direction, and they're going upwards, creating a very aggressive but very sexy and simplistic look. And it follows a similar or almost the identical design language on the Polestar 02. And this is what I love. And this is what I constantly tell people. We will get the Polestar 02 in production eventually. It's going to take a long time to develop. It's going to take a long time to hit production. And it's going to take a long time before Polestar admits that they want to build this car, that they will start developing this car for real world production. But eventually they will admit it. Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe to see more. Hope you've enjoyed it. And of course, I'll see you in my next video.